Hi guys, I'm Katie Rum from Periapsis Press, where I review indie sci-fi and fantasy books. I clicked the wrong video first thing, so I apologize to everybody who had their ears blown off by my outro, which is, I admit, a little bit loud. Hi to Patrick in the chat. Appreciate you. Well, guys, I thought that I would talk a little bit about the the 3-star review that was going around from a little bit different angle than everybody else. Most people are talking about the author's reaction, kind of unseemly reaction, just being publicly irritated, which is frowned upon generally. But I wanted to take a look at it from the point of view of a reader and talk about what I like about the review, and also take a look at any other reviews that you guys would like me to, and kind of talk a little bit about what makes a good review and how you guys can write reviews in a way that is helpful to other people. Usually in my streams specifically for the Signal, I talk about a recent review or an upcoming review. I just finished The Slain Maiden by Eleanor Currit, I think is how you say her name. It's really, really good. Just fantastic. And I'm really looking forward to sharing my review on periapsispress.com. But I don't have any slides, so I can't show you anything. Off the top of my head, like my top 3 from the book would probably be the main character is like instantly likable. You feel very, very sympathetic with her. Part of that is that she is focused on the problem right away, and there's not a lot of the author sort of telling you the different things that she's like. You know, she is brave. She does put other people before herself. She is more perceptive than other people. But we get all of that as as it's happening, instead of having it being told to us. Patrick's like, I feel like I'll cause this mess. So main character, the setting is just fantastic. It's got that, post Golden Age type feel to the setting, where things are in disrepair. The age of heroism, her grandfather fought trolls, did the heroic things, and now the walls are crumbling, the watch is lax, and the people are no longer quite so vigilant against the dark. I love that vibe. So that would be my second. My third thing would be the themes, which I'm definitely going to deep dive into in my review. So I probably should not even start there. Hi to Michael Caine. He fixed a major plot issue. Yay. And then I usually also talk about news things. I'll just briefly mention that we're reading the Shoot the Devil anthology for the book club. Both Patrick and Michael Caine, who are in the chat, have been reading it with me. And we've been having a good time. We've read the first 2 together. I haven't posted the second video, I don't think, at this time. I can't remember. I've had a crazy week. I don't think that I have any other news items, but again, I'm missing my slides, which would tell me for sure. Sorry, guys. All right. So just really briefly, I'll go through some of the stuff that I recommend in when you are writing a review on Amazon or Goodreads or wherever you read reviews. That's where I recommend posting them. Obviously, everybody's different. Everybody can do it however they want. I am not telling adults how to live their lives here. But I think I should probably start off by saying, do leave reviews. I think that is valuable. Your opinion, even if you only say, I liked the book, I recommend the book, that is helpful to somebody else, especially if they can see that, like that verified purchase type check mark. But if a reader feels that they can trust you as someone who wrote a review, actually read the book, that is most helpful. I think in this day and age, and I've said this many, many times, the only marker of quality left is personal recommendations and reviews from other readers. The publisher will no longer guarantee quality. We've seen over and over again TradPub books that are just not there in terms of quality. And in particular with AI art right now, covers are no longer a marker of quality. Really, the only thing left is that interpersonal connection, reader to reader. Okay. I would say the first thing, and I know that Michael King has other ideas and he thinks that Amazon and Goodreads reviews should be looked at differently, and I just don't care. To me, I would start with, do I recommend it? And then say, okay, that if there's 5 stars, right? Then you start at 5. I liked it. I recommend it. And then if you feel that you need to walk that backwards, you have to explain why. Same with, I hated it, right? Start at 1 and then, well, I liked a couple of things, but you got to explain those middle stars, which is why the 3-star review, in my opinion, is really, really great review. It really gets into the different things that contributed to the reader's experience and the reason that they decided to rate it the way that they did. And because it's such a detailed review, other readers are able to say, oh, well, I'm okay with that, which we'll get into a little bit. Michael King says, yeah, I have no real issues with that because you'll probably end up with basically the same metric from a different direction. Sure. Yeah. 5-star is a book that is full recommendation. And Patrick starts with grading, letter grades. Everyone starts out with a C+ for just getting a book out there. From there, it's all up to the author to make me happy or sad. So when I write a review, I start with, did I like this? Usually, if I finish the book, it means I liked it. I pretty aggressively do not finish stuff that I think is wasting my time or that I'm not going to enjoy. I would say that there's like a little bit of wiggle room. If it's a short book, I might power through just to see if the ending redeems everything, or if I've already made it the majority of the way through the book. Same sort of deal. But I start with, did I like it? And then instead of saying, what didn't I like, which is really easy to do, you can really come up with a lot of stuff for literally every book on the planet, right? A lot of the pulp stuff has purple prose. A lot of Tolkien has extensive descriptions of stuff. There's the the allegory in C.S. Lewis can really get under people's skin. It just depends, right? You can always find stuff to nitpick, and maybe you end up convincing yourself that you didn't like it as much as you did. So I start asking myself why. And I tend to break it down into different elements of story just for my own sort of shorthand, ease of sort of assessing things. Characters, setting, plot. And with plot, I try really hard not to rehash the plot for other readers. It's not easy to read that. I have an example of this, but I'm probably not going to show it. It's one of someone that I know of on Twitter who we share a lot of mutuals, so it came up in my feed, and I am not going to pick on somebody directly for doing this, but it's not easy to sort of run your eyes over that kind of a review and understand how that other reader felt about it. So I really recommend trying not to do that. Instead, I sort of assess like tension. Did it move fast? That kind of stuff. I think that if you wanted to do like a 3-sentence review, starting with how it made you feel is a really good place to start. First sentence, did you like it, is like the baseline of that. Was it exciting? Was it sappy? Was it suspenseful? Those kinds of feeling words are really going to help a reader to get a quick picture of the experience that they're likely to have. I can see Michael and Patrick going back and forth a little bit, so I'm just going to peek here. Patrick says, okay, what do you do with something you didn't like, but others could like it? Leave a review and explain why you didn't like it and why you think other people could. It's that can be difficult. I will say Fiona Wolf does this pretty well. She recently wrote a tweet review of oh goodness, oh, there it's way up there. The Black Crown by John A. Douglas. And I liked The Black Crown. And she didn't. She explained that it was not her thing because of the half-orc main character. She just couldn't get into that vibe, which is a perfectly legitimate thing, right? Like, I don't read certain flavors of books, and that one was one that it just didn't appeal to her. And she she was able to say, here's this thing that I didn't like, and other people were able to assess based on that whether or not they would like it. Patrick says, I tend not to read reviews that have the synopsis. I've already got that one from Amazon, Goodreads, or wherever. Parapets Express is an exception. So I'll show you guys. Whoops, no, not that. Sorry, guys. Here we go. Oh, I need to post more reviews. I took a very, very long break while I attacked my TBR doing my chapter 1 fun run. And I got through like, I want to say like 20 books, and then realized that I just still had like a whole page and a half of titles that I still had to get. And I was like, okay, I'm going to set this aside and I'm going to actually read something. In the browser, web browser, computer version, I put the synopsis / publisher description off to the side so you can easily skip it. It doesn't work that way, obviously, in phone, or I think even tablet. You have to scroll through that. But yeah, I tried to be really intentional about the way that this is set up so that it's easy for people who don't need that synopsis to skip it. Yeah, Michael Caine says I include the blurb. Yep. Patrick says, I write reviews based on what I want to see. Get in, get out. This is what I liked. This is what I didn't like. Yep. It's so hard to review ancient classics, though. Like, what am I going to say? Geez, Homer, get an editor. Why don't you? Okay. Your 3 things. How it made you feel. That's, I think, the big one. This other thing that I try to do is get a sense of the vibe. And this is sort of because I intentionally only read sci-fi fantasy. I try to give the reader a sense of what the flavors are, right? So that would go with the, like, this fantasy is more Tolkien inspired, or it's more World of Warcraft, or like D&D type thing, or maybe it's more anime, right? If it's sci-fi, are we talking, your space opera, people in a spaceship in space, or are we on the ground, post-apocalyptic, that kind of stuff. We talked about Shoot the Devil as being, I think, which one was it? The Phantom Ridge one from the Case Files of Virgil Everness. We talked about how it's fantasy. Like, we've got guns and stuff, but it's still fantasy. But a reader coming to it is not necessarily going to know from the just like the general genre titles that Amazon gives you, for example. what to expect. Space, yes. Obviously, you can always add more details. Like, you can always explain more. Why did you like it? You can always explain more what you're going to encounter. I like to say, and I usually do some sort of something in the form of like, this book isn't exciting, right? Or whatever. I try not to use exciting too much. It's really easy to use exciting. And then capture sort of the genre. And this is just in like my reviews on my website. And then I say something along the lines of like featuring monsters or demons or aliens, right? And then, stuff like that, like the different things that are, the rule cool type stuff that would give people something, that would be both something to spark their interest and something that would give them a sense of the vibe. Yeah. Let me pull. It's just, sorry. Michael Caine's giving me all kinds of ideas here. Who's the book for? This is actually a really good and kind of the third thing that I was going to mention, which is like explain who in a like, if you like this kind of story, you would like this book. Does it do it well? Plot, people, setting, got it. Yeah. Michael Caine says that who is the book for and does it do what it do well are the two questions that he would like answered. I guess the second question is less important to me, just because I assume that if another reader liked it, that it is doing it well, or well enough. So if it isn't doing it well, then obviously that needs to be explained. Okay. On that note, let me open the 3-star review here. So this was shared by the author, and I went and I found the actual review and I took screenshots because I thought it was really good review. 3 stars and extremely detailed. You do not have to go into this much detail for it to be useful. That being said, this is really useful. Normally don't leave reviews, but seeing as nobody else has left anything yet, I figured I could add my 2 cents. The beta reader in me came up with this. So this person is trying to be helpful to, I'm not sure if they are envisioning the author necessarily. Kind of a parenthetical later makes me think the author is more of a sort of, I think this person is more focused on helping other readers. But we'll jump in. We'll start with the good. It's a great place to start. Overall, the story is good and an entertaining weekend read. It doesn't take itself too seriously, has a ton of potential, and should keep you engaged as some humor and antics keep you turning the pages. The story is clearly written as a trilogy, so you'll have to wait till its conclusion to see if any noticeable character growth happens. It came to a mostly satisfying but slightly predictable ending, with the majority of the loose ends coming to a close, but left enough open to entice you into the next book. I do recommend the book, but buyer beware, it could have used another round of editing to finish smoothing it out. This is an author to watch, as I'm sure her prose will only grow stronger. This is a really good open. Gives the reader an idea of the experience they're likely to have. Already really good. Entertaining, it says good, entertaining, ton of potential. It will keep you engaged, humor, antics. I like that word. And then it's going to be written as a trilogy. So that is something that potential readers who want things to be finished will like, oh, okay, I'm going to wait on this one. If that's not something that you care about as a reader, then you're like, okay, I know that now and I'm going to jump in, right? Character growth is less important to this author in this particular book. That is a perfectly legitimate story element, right? Like, mostly satisfying ending. Fantastic, right? The slightly predictable, to me, I'm like, I'm okay, right? I don't need it to be a surprise all the time. That tells me actually there's not going to be any weird twists. Majority of the loose ends come to a close with enough to entice you. I like this. This is sounding good. These are all things that are helpful. This reader is laying good groundwork, managing other reader expectations. Here's stuff that you'll like. Here's stuff already we see like that you just have to be aware of, that there's stuff in there like this. All right, the bad. A few minor issues kept popping up. Grammar mistakes. Somebody like me who reads a lot of indie stuff is going to be like, okay, there's grammar mistakes. Not a big deal. It affects readers differently, right? Some people get really hung up on it and it really drags them out of the story. And other people who tend to be faster readers and don't even notice that kind of stuff or read right past it really quickly. And the more you read stuff that's less polished, the more higher tolerance you have for that kind of thing. So it pulls you out of the story less. Nothing too bad, but noticeable and draws you out of the story a little to do the easy mental correction. Then mentions one. It's a misplaced quotation mark. Not really something that I would even worry about. This review is telling me as a reader, one of this reader's major problems is not going to be a major problem for me. So then talks about more about the formatting or whatever, confusing at times. Next thing that is part of the bad, she got dangerously close to purple prose a few times, over describing things and nearing melodramatic moments that made me roll my eyes and skip a few pages, but for some that's literary gold. So take that comment with a grain of salt. Yep, just like she said, a grain of salt. These things are not to my liking, but you may enjoy them. You can tell the husband was written for the female gaze. That's really interesting note. Not at all what I would expect a military man to act like. Parenthetical, kind of nice change up. So not necessarily a totally bad element. But again, for my liking, then it wasn't rushed, but at the same time, the pace sometimes dragged a little. So this is this is just fantastic because it is really getting into stuff that is going to help a reader manage expectations. If a reader, knowing themselves, reads this and thinks, oh, that grammar is just going to really, really bother me. It's going to pull me out of the story and I'm not going to be able to enjoy it to the fullest. They read this and they know. And then if they still buy the book after reading this review, they know to expect that stuff. And so it's not a surprise. I think that having your expectations set like that can really help. If you choose to skip a book because of that, you don't get mad about it. You don't get frustrated by that. And you don't come back upset to leave a bad review. It's really, really good to be able to not buy a book that isn't for you. It's you like indie authors would really like their book to be universal, right? Like everybody buy it, everybody like it. But it's good to have people who like it buy it and not have people who are going to be frustrated by it and then come back and leave bad reviews. Hey, to Doug Wise. I've been clicking around and I have come back to the chat. Doug Wise says, I like the inclusion of what broad themes are present. Something I add to my own very short Amazon reviews after seeing it on the Periaps's press reviews. Some themes are more interesting. I agree. I am really super excited to jump into the Slain Maiden reviews because I just like the themes. Oh, the themes. So excited. I really enjoy themes as well. And when a review talks about themes, it can really give me a sense of whether or not the way that a book is going to be handling the real world, treating me. Do they hate me, as Patrick says? Patrick says, even as a backstabbing trad pub reader, I don't care too much about a misplaced quote mark, other than to feel smugly superior to the fancy pantsy author. Doug Wise says that it's a way too self-referential review. Lots of backhanded praise. Sure. Yeah. It's very personal sounding. Usually, like the way that they teach you to write in school, you're supposed to unplug yourself, right? You're supposed to not say I or refer to things directly, refer to people directly. You're certainly not supposed to refer to the reader by you. You're supposed to say things like, a reader may find, right? Very roundabout way of talking. And the reason for that is it's less like offensive, because it allows the reader to have their own opinion without you telling them what they will think directly. Like that you'll have to wait phrase. Yes, and the dear author thing is a little bit that should have just been left out. It comes off as a little bit rude. Yeah, Patrick points out it's probably somebody who comments on social media more than writes reviews. Yep, I agree. Okay. Where am I? Here I am. Okay, the ugly. You can tell by how much bigger this section is, how much zoomed in, how much shorter it is. You can tell it's written by an amateur author surrounded by yes men. Someone needed to tell her no to rein in those runaway side quests and unnecessary extra POV chapters. I was expecting a 3-person point of view book, and what I got was a multi POV book with many characters sounding the same and in places unnecessary. Or maybe she means completely unnecessary here. I have read a lot of books where I've thought this person needs a developmental editor. That it would be better if this was trimmed or this arc was streamlined. So explaining that is difficult. For this reader, it seems connected with the point of view changes. And depending on the genre, there may be higher tolerance for that in the readers in general, which I saw a lot of people commenting about. I am somebody who dislikes a ton of POVs, especially if they die, which is something that this reader mentions. One of the big problems with indie publishing in general is that it can be extremely fast. You can go from finished manuscript to published manuscript in however long it takes you to upload it to Amazon, right? So the assumption here that there wasn't a lot of feedback and like giving it to people who then would tell the author changes that they would recommend it's rude. It's a rude assumption, but it's not necessarily one that is unwarranted. It happens a lot. I would say that the author, again, this is like indie books, right? You get to have the book exactly the way that you want it. So someone may have said to the author, hey, you've got to rein these side quests in. And the author said, no, I like it the way it is. There we go. You just weren't the target ideal reader for the book. The author wrote it the way that she wanted it. And that's fine, right? As a reader, now I know that this is a thing in this book, and I know to expect it if I decide to buy the book, right? In the end, this particular reader didn't like it enough to buy more of the series, but might if it goes on sale. I think that tells a lot about how this reader felt about the book. And I think that's really useful. So that's why I think this is a good review. Again, you don't have to write so much for it to be a useful review. I was going to pull up where am I here? Yeah. A couple of, there's this newer, right, feature on Amazon where the AI summarizes the reviews. So I will pull a couple here from stuff that I've reviewed. I will start with, I'll start with After Moses, since Michael Caine's in the chat. He says it works. It's not awful. It makes more sense on a product, possibly. I think that it manages to pull useful information for books. They're like, has like a text, and then it has like little check mark things. Some of them are silly, right? First sci-fi story. Okay, good. That's what it looks like. It's good to know that that's what it is. Second one is character development. Third is readability. Fourth is enlightenedness. Writing quality, pacing, originality, and success. Okay, so useful things in their sci-fi story. That's what I wanted when I clicked on this, and that is in fact a sci-fi story. That's great. It's in fact going to be more like what people think of when they say sci-fi story than like post-apocalyptic or even like Yankee Republic or one of Fenton Wood's other ones, which names are escaping me right now. But like things that are a little bit outside of the larger genres, a little more niche. Character development, and it's readable and it's got quality. Pacing, that means that I can probably rely, like I'm going off of one word stuff here. If people mention pacing, it means this, and that as a good element, it means that it's going to be pretty consistently a good pace, I should say. Okay. I can actually share this and you guys can look at what I'm looking at. Boom, boom, boom. There. Oop, there we go. Customers find this sci-fi story refreshing and unique with well-paced, well-developed characters, and fascinating world-building approach. Moreover, the writing is good and the pacing is well-paced, with one customer noting how it flows smoothly, like best-selling books. Additionally, they appreciate the entertaining episodes and consider it a fantastic read from start to finish, with one review highlighting its strong Christian perspective. So, all of the reviews are different lengths, tend towards the longer, I would say. But this summary kind of hits pretty quickly some like important things, right? So when you're writing your own reviews, to give you a sense of how to talk about it quickly, I think that this does, that's why we're looking at this. That's why I am sharing this kind of thing. It doesn't go into the plot, doesn't even mention any characters by name. It just says what it is. And it says it fast with like a lot of sort of dense vibe words, right? Refreshing and unique, fascinating. And then it like world building, pacing, the word entertaining, which is always good. Big word, fantastic. And then this highlighting strong Christian perspective, that is a very, very short and sweet way of getting into some of the thematic elements. Gives a good heads up right away. This stuff is in there. If you're going to be offended by it, skip it. And then don't, read it, get angry about it, and come back and leave a scathing review about the fact that there is a priest in this book. All right. Let me see. Where's... Okay. I will share this one. This is Uriel's Revenge. Fewer reviews on this one, I believe. Michael Caine has 137 global ratings. And so there's less to pull from. The two check marks that it does have are sci-fi genre, actually a similar genre, actually literally in space, right, with spaceships. And then the second is detail. Those are both relevant. If especially an AI summary talks about the level of detail in a sci-fi book, it usually means it's going to be a little bit on the harder side. Hard sci-fi, I mean, like sciencey, mathy details. Customers appreciate the book's unique blend of sci-fi elements, with one review noting how it propels the story along like a spacecraft thruster. I gotta find that review. The book receives positive feedback for its detailed world building, with one customer highlighting the thorough world creation and another mentioning the helpful chart at the beginning. So again, useful. Unique. Propels the story. That's pacing. Very, very useful. Detailed world building and I think what I would say, world creation. Those three things are great expectation management, right? A little bit more out there, and it's a little bit faster paced and detailed world building. Maybe going to be a little bit on the harder side of the sci-fi genre. Okay. Third one that I will do is Drosselmeyer, Curse of the Rat King, which I usually have, right here behind me. This is one of my favorites. This is the Wizarding World of the Nutcracker. So a little bit more fantasy in the like Harry Potter-y, wizardy sense, but also the Nutcracker. Story quality, readability, writing quality, character development, age range, visual style. Less useful tags here, except quality. Okay, you're gonna get, when it's like quality, readability, quality, you're gonna get quality. Customers find this book an action-packed prequel to the Nutcracker with a fabulous backstory for Drosselmeyer, and one customer describes it as a riveting prequel. Action-packed and riveting are good words for talking about how the story made you feel, right? How the story moved along, the experience you're likely to get. More of the writing is wonderfully crafted, with one customer noting how quickly it draws the reader in, and customers appreciate the interesting characters and its suitability for older teens. So that's who's it appropriate for. Additionally, the book receives positive feedback for its visual style, with one customer describing it as striking. So that's an interesting element that somebody included. That's really interesting to me. I think a striking book as well. I don't know if I would say visual style. That's interesting. I wonder where it pulled that from. So yeah. Okay. Yeah, Michael Caine was on one of the, I think it was the top review on Uriel's Revenge there. I think that people tend to think about leaving reviews as something that's hard to do. And it's because you are suddenly asked your opinion, you're like, I have no idea what to say. It's like when you are leaving a review for fast food, and it goes from being like multiple choice to suddenly like, tell us more about your experience, and then they won't let you get your free burger until you've written so many words. It was a burger, right? I think that it doesn't have to be complicated. If you tell us that it was meat and cheese and lettuce on a bun, right? And I told them to hold the pickles, but they didn't, right? Like, that is useful. I think having other readers say, here, like, I liked it. It was a good experience. Here is a little bit about what the experience was. Was it fast paced? Was it like it said, like action packed or riveting or suspenseful or slow building or like steamy romantic, right? Like, that's going to help me. And then so how it made you feel, like the sort of experience as a whole, using your descriptive words, and then if you have something along the lines of like, who is this for, or if there's something that you thought that the book did particularly well, or if there's something that you wish it had done better, or something that you want to put on another reader's radar, right? Like, hey, just heads up, there's a lot of grammar stuff, or heads up, the main character is kind of a girl boss, right? Like, those kinds of things are useful and will help manage reader expectations so that the people who do buy it go in knowing, here's a potential problem, and I've already decided I'm not going to be upset about it. Hey, to Fiona Wolf, I actually mentioned you earlier. I've seen reviews go from me like book to full-on pages of dissertations. Yeah. I think that kind of sums up what I was thinking about. Fredosphere said under my post saying that I was going to talk about this, like, quote, the post office took 3 weeks to deliver it. Worst book ever. Yeah, like, don't do that. Obviously, the fulfillment is not the product's fault. I I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to say about this. I think that if you start, it becomes easier. You think, I don't have anything to say. And then if you come up with a few words, impressions, you might find that you've all of a sudden written a page of how you felt about this book. And I would also encourage you guys not to withhold your opinion out of some fear of, or just maybe not fear, maybe other more generous emotion, not wanting to hurt the author's feelings or be shared on social media, right? That is certainly intimidating, but to realize that your opinion is useful and important to other readers, and you don't have to defend that. Like, this person who left this 3-star review should not have to defend the fact that they felt the way that they felt. I think that knowing all of these details about the book up front is going to be helpful in the long run to both the Amazon algorithm, right, and to other readers. People act like Amazon has like some sort of subversive, sneaky plot, and if you can game the algorithm, then like your book will be sold better or something. But like, the algorithm works the way it does to help readers, right? If you leave reviews that help other readers, that will help the algorithm find the right readers for it. So you don't have to feel bad about that. Patrick says, Dan Simmons' Hyperion is loved by a lot of people, but my review is for people who actually want an ending. My friend who I knew cared about that didn't read it on my comment review. Success. Yes. Yep. Yep. Reviews are for other readers rather than the writer. Yep. Now let's go meta and talk about how to respond to reviews, like my fan who cried that I didn't like his favorite book. Oh. We just need to stop caring about authors and their quote unquote feelings. Are they even people anymore? I have things to say about it, but I'm more generally interested in the reader side of things, and the fact that some people are poorly behaved on the internet has never ever been a surprise to me. So I think that it was unfortunate that it was shared around as this 3-star review when it was a very, very nice review that described very well the reader's experience and would help others to understand whether or not it was an experience they would like to have. So I wanted to look at it from that perspective. Michael Caine said, Michael Caine points out she got her comeuppance for causing drama. Yes. That whole situation just kept getting weirder. Like, the more you heard about her. I don't have any more to say about this other than please leave reviews. They are helpful to other readers, and just in general, I think you'll find that it helps you to remember the book better. If you read a book and then don't bring your mind back to reflect on it, it won't necessarily solidify in your memory quite so well. And so I encourage you guys to think about the books that you've read, and as long as you're thinking about them, should make a little record for yourself as well. Everybody, have a great night. I appreciate you all in the chat, and everyone who watches after the fact. I appreciate you as well. Please like, subscribe. If you are currently reading something, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear about it and whether or not you're enjoying it. Everybody have a great night.